Ooh, you're in the Twilight Zone. I'm just playing. Welcome to chess, ladies and gentlemen. All right, I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by. So you guys know that we just concluded the St. Louis Rapid and Blitz. So I do have the round 17 Blitz game between Wesley So and Carl Nakamura, the legends. All my people in the Philippines, I would say matter means salamat. And I appreciate very much anybody coming from around the world. But if you guys are ready to go, man, let's take a look and see what we got for this game. All right, so we got D4, D5, C4, C5. So this is not a super rare line. There's some better lines that you can play. This is like not won, not lost. It does kind of sidestep like super mainline theory, you know, kind of going into like Queen's Gambits or Indian type games and stuff like that. So you're really testing, you know, White's knowledge. We do see pawn taking D5, and then we do see knight to F6, and this is known as the Queen's Gambit decline. This is the Austrian Gusev Countergambit. You're basically telling White if they want to go ahead and take pawn take C5, they will be okay with that. Instead of this, what we generally are going to see, just maybe twice as much played, is going to be like a queen taking D5. And this is going to be by far like the main line that you're going to see. Knight F3, pawn takes D4, knight going to C3, taking advantage of the fact that the pawn is pinned to the undefended queen. The queen will probably sidestep over to A5, and then knight takes D4. And you actually have some pretty nice development if you are on the white side of the board. But like I said, we did see the move knight to F6. And we don't see the immediate E4, which is a nice little counter. Not counter gambit, but it's definitely the fiercest way to play. We do actually just see the developing move knight to F3, and we kind of get fairly even. We got pawn taking D4, knight taking D4, knight taking D5. So it all looks very even, but White will definitely be the one that will break the symmetry first. We do see knight back to F3, knight goes to C6, and then we do see E4, and you see that now we have kind of unbalanced the position a little bit. We got knight B to D4, or knight D to B4. We do see the move A3, and I'm not saying this is always what you should be doing, but if you are in a situation where you can trade queens and, you know, kind of damage your opponent's possibilities of castling, sometimes it can be beneficial. So kind of calculate and see about that. So we do see that here, queen taking D1 with check. We got king taking D1. We got knight up to A6. We do see bishop to E3. Due to the fact that our E4 pawn is actually not in any danger at all, you know, maybe if the knight had came back like to like F6 or something, he was putting some pressure, then of course bishop E3 wouldn't be a good move, but we can play that in this position here. We do see G6, we got knight going to C3. We do see bishop to G7, and this is the novelty of the game. I'm very curious that we have seen this position before, but somehow bishop to G7 is the novelty of the game. Because G6 is kind of like, you know, you're wanting to play bishop G7. Anyway, it's kind of like castling, right? But we do see this in novelty of the game. We do see king to C2. And this is a cool little pocket that this king has found. I mean, you know, like I said, you were not able to castle, so you kind of have to figure out what you're going to do with your king, bro. We do see bishop going to G4. We got bishop going to B5. Knight goes back to C7. We got pawn, bishop taking C6 with check. We got pawn taking, and then we do see knight to D4. So we have escaped our knight from getting, you know, damaging our structure, but I'll speak about it in a little bit, but black at the moment has double bishops, and you have a bishop and a knight. So it's not super favorable to give one of your bishops up for the knight in this specific position. But we have, like I said, saved our knight with knight to D4. We got knight to B5. Knight takes B5, pawn takes B5, knight takes B5. And so black has given up a pawn. We do see rook going to C8 with check. Knight comes back to C3. And like I was mentioning before, you know, black definitely has double bishops. The board is pretty open. So even though, yes, you are down a pawn, you know, a lot of you guys probably know when you get into bishops in games, either the same color, opposite color, a lot of the times, I mean, you know, you can like really get into some drawn situations. So it's not the absolute worst to be down a pawn in a bishop kind of in game. We do see rook going down to C7. We got F3 knocking the bishop away. The bishop retreats back to D7. We got rook A to C1. And then we have bishop taking C3. And then pawn taking C3. And bro, I just got done saying that black has double bishops. So I don't know what I told Hikaru about this, man. I was like, bro, don't trade the bishop. And he did it anyway. I was like, whatever, dog. So, you know, I try to help Hikaru as much as I can, but sometimes it doesn't work out. So we do get into the position here where we have opposite color bishops, and black is still down a pawn, but they do have a lot of piece activity for giving up that bishop. We got bishop to a4 with check. We got king sliding over to d2. We got f6. Rook goes to b1. You got to do it, bro. You know, you can put a rook on this file, but, you know, the king is kind of blocking it at the moment. So this is definitely the best one to take. And then we actually see king to f7. And this is very interesting because, you know, black has gotten like a little cool pocket for their king too. So neither player is like, bro, I don't feel like castling today, so let's just not do that. We do see rook going up to b4, tickling his bishop over here, trying to see if it's ticklish. We do see rook going to d8 with check. We got rook to d4, and then we do see rook takes d4. And we have actually reached a position where we have a guess the move. Do you take back with the bishop here, or do you take back with the pawn? You want to pause the video and try to guess which move you use. Go ahead and do so. Okay, neither one of them are losing, but one is slightly better than the other. Now, I think a lot of people are thinking, hey, man, like my structure is damaged right here. You know, I got isolated pawns and stuff. Like, what if I take with the c pawn and just kind of correct my pawn chain, right? That would be correct in most cases, but this specific case is actually not as good of a move as bishop takes d4. So that is actually what we saw in the game was bishop takes d4. So that is the correct move if you found that. If you did capture here with the c pawn, yes, you would be correcting your pawn chain, but you would be allowing this move rook to c2 a check, and whether you go up or you go down to e1, you are going to be looking at rook taking g2. So you've given black just a little bit too much activity, you know, for trying to correct your pawn structure. So that is why we see Wesley So go bishop taking, and we still remain with this damage, but we are up a pawn. We do see the move e5. We got bishop back to e3. Rook goes to b7. You absolutely, under no circumstances, can allow white to take this file with their rook, because then they would be definitely saying that they have a better position than you. So that is why we see rook to b7. We got king up to d3. We got rook to b2, hitting the 7th rank anyway. But in this position, we actually have some counterplay with bishop takes a7, which is what we see in the game. And then we see rook taking g2. And, I mean, we have gotten into a better position, like I said before. You did fix your pawn structure, but you allowed a pawn to just get taken for free. So this is a little bit of a different situation here. We got the move h4. We don't want to lose another pawn. We're trying to activate our rook on h1. We do see the move f5, pawn takes. We got pawn taking, and then we do see rook to e1. And this is actually a really nice move with some tempo, because we are hitting this pawn right here, and we are controlling this square right here so that we do not have a pushing right here. And so after we see the move king e6, we get to our thumbnail. And, I mean, white is putting a lot of pressure on this pawn. You kind of have a 2-to-1 majority here, so if you can get rid of the majority, break the pawns up, you definitely have a little bit of something to write home about. We got bishop to c2 with check. The king slides up to c4. We got e4. You're going to lose the pawn, so you might as well lose it in like a better way. We do see e4, pawn takes e4, pawn takes e4. And basically, for white, this is what they need to focus on. So that is what you're going to be seeing Wesley So doing, trying to make sure that this pawn does not push and make a touchdown. So even though black is down a pawn, you definitely have some dynamic play going on. We got king sliding over. And of course, you know, Stockfish is like, this is triple zeros. And you're like, dude, I have an extra pawn. But, I mean, Stockfish doesn't care about all that, bro. We got rook to d2 with check. The king goes to e3. Rook check. We got king to f4. We see rook taking c3. And I'm going to be running through these moves because, you know, we have like a little bit of moves left. So rook e3, encouraging a trade, which a trade is not bad. But, you know, sometimes you just want to keep options on the board. So rook attacks bishop. We got bishop retreating. We do see the move h6, rook to g3. We got rook check on f8. King goes down. We got king sliding down. We do see rook up to f3. This does drop rook to f3 with check, but it's not like the end of the world. We do see rook going to f3 with check. The king goes down to d2. And this bishop is actually doing a good job of protecting this check square and also this pawn moving forward. So, you know, we're holding down the blockading of this pawn for the moment. Bishop goes to a4, bishop to e3. We got the rook to h3, and then we have rook taking h6. And, I mean, you asked the question again, why is this dead even, Stockfish? Like, bro, I'm up a pawn. I got two outside pass pawns right here. I'm not losing this one. This one is good for the moment. Like, how in the world can this be even? Sometimes you just gotta hate Stockfish, bro. You got some, Stockfish, man, cut me a break, son. We do see king going down. We got the rook up to h8. We got the rook to h2 with check. The king goes down to e1. We do see king to d3, tickling the bishop. The bishop's getting tickled all game. We got bishop to f4, rook to e2 with check. King slides over to f1. We got bishop to b5. Now, this can be kind of nasty if you don't have any way to kind of get out of that, but we do. We got the rook to d8 with check. The king slides down to c2. We got king to g1, getting out of that nasty discovery. Because in this position, all we have to do is play the lovely rook to d2 with check. And bye-bye rook, and you're just going to lose the game, and it sucks. But we got king to g1. We do see the move e3. We got the rook to c8 with check. King goes to d3. We got the rook down to c5. Constantly tickling bishops. But they're not ticklish. They're like, bro, I'm good. But bishop c4. We got the rook over to e5. So you see that white, even though they are up a pawn, it's really kind of hard for them to like really push these pawns up. And they are really trying hard to make sure this pawn doesn't score a touchdown because that's just Crimea River. We got rook down to e1 with check. The king slides up. We got pawn down, bishop to g3. And you know, another one of the crazy things about this game is both players pretty much up to this point have found every single only move. So you've been in those positions where you're like, hey man, I got to find this one move that exists out of like 40 moves. Yeah, they're finding like every single one of them. So, I mean, the ability of these players to find like the only moves is astounding to me. We got rook over to a1. We see the move h5. And now black does grab a pawn. So like I said, the focus, bam, bam, making sure this pawn cannot score a touchdown. We got the move h6. We got the rook to a7. We do see rook to h5. And it would be really beautiful if we can just continuously push this pawn. But we're not able to. We do see rook to h7 blocking. We got king over to f2, king to d2. We got the rook over to e5. We do see rook to f7 with check. The king slides over. But like I said, we are still holding down the e1 square. We got bishop to d3, king to h3. We do see rook down to f6. We got the rook to h5. Making sure that we hold this pawn. If we drop this pawn, I mean, the computer's still going to say, oh, it's dead even. There's nothing even to see here, bro. But no, I mean, we're humans, bro. So the rook does come down to f3. We got rook to e5. Rook goes to f6. Now, this was a sneaky move here. If we get rid of this bishop, which is the only piece that's threatening to, you know, capture this pawn once it promotes, then we actually just have an unimpeded queen. So Wesley So did recognize that, so that is why we see rook to e5. We see rook to f6. And the crazy thing about this game is that both players are, I mean, they literally have like 5 and 6 seconds left. And you know that Hikaru is like the bullet king of the world. So, I mean, he's probably like just sitting there about to fall asleep because it's boring. But I mean, this is crazy to be playing with this few seconds left in this game. So we do see king to g4, rook to g6 with check. The king slides down to f3. We got the king going down to d1. Black has made a lot of progress, I will say, with this pawn here. We got rook up to e7. Rook takes h6. Now you have dropped this pawn, but like I said, it just says it's a slight advantage to black. We are still currently holding down this e1 square. We got king to e3, bishop to a6. We do see rook to d7 with check, king to c1, rook check. King slides over to b1. We got the rook over to e7. The rook goes to f6, king to d2. We do see rook down to f3. And we are threatening this bishop. And then we see the move, rook to c7. No! Yes, yes. I know what you guys are thinking. Let's back up. Rook to f3 completely 100% attacks this bishop. Like 1000%. Rook to c7 does absolutely nothing to protect this bishop. So Wesley So did hang the bishop. Now I will say this. When he was in this position, he was trying to figure out what to do. He did have his hand over the bishop at first. And he was like, oh, okay, I'm going to move the bishop because obviously it's attacked. And then he had like 2 seconds left. And he was like, oh, I'll move the rook. And that's just what he did. So I don't really know what he was thinking about. Like, I don't know if he was thinking maybe the bishop was like magically protected from somehow, but it wasn't. So after this move here, Hikaru kind of like double checked to make sure he wasn't missing a tactic or something. And he just went ahead and grabbed the bishop. And Wesley So made this move. And then we saw rook to d3 with check. And it is in this position that Wesley So ran out of time and resigned at the same time. It was like instantaneous he did that. So that was that game. So Malak, I see Hikaru Nakamura in this one, I guess. Now, obviously, you're down an entire piece in this position here. But, I mean, you don't really have a whole lot of good options. I mean, you have king taking E2. You can get the pawn. But this is a very favorable in-game, completely 1,000% won. And then the rook and the king for the white side are disconnected from each other. And generally, in in-games, you want to kind of keep your piece close by. So, because of all of that stuff, I mean, we have a discovered attack coming up, which is rook to d6 with check. So, I mean, that is that. I mean, when you're down an entire piece against these players, I mean, there's not really a whole lot you're going to be able to do, bro. So, all of my people in the Philippines, I will say, Masai Arkoma, Kitty Kang Muli. I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by once again. Almasao Tayo, it is, it's afternoon over there. Mag lunch Natayo. Get an afternoon lunch coconut shake for some of the, I know coconut shakes are pretty famous out there in the Philippines. I'm going to have to come and grab me one day. So, whenever I get out there, somebody's going to have to take me out to get a coconut shake. I don't know who that's going to be, though. But I appreciate you guys very much, and I'm going to see y'all next time.